All right, so here's the question of the day. How many folks out there would say, I really love waiting on things? And also, how many folks would say, I really love waiting on God? It's one of my favorite things. Anyone? Anyone? I didn't think so. Me either. Waiting is hard. In our humanness and in our flesh, we have difficulty waiting, and we have great difficulty waiting on God. Well, that's where we see our story today, the story of Abram and his wife Sarah not waiting on God. Now, yesterday in chapter 15, this miraculous story in the Bible is where God takes Abram and he makes a promise to him. He says, Abram, your descendants are going to be as numerous as the stars in the sky. Trust me, this is going to be incredible. Abram, I'm going to use you, but you must trust me. Great story, right? And yet chapter 16, after that promise, opens up this way. Let me read the first couple of verses. It says, now Sarah, Abram's wife, had borne him no children. She had a female Egyptian servant whose name was Hagar, and Sarah said to Abram, behold now, the Lord has prevented me from bearing children. Go into my servant, it may be that I shall obtain children by her. And Abram listened to the voice of Sarah. So I'll say it again, in just the chapter before, God had promised Abram, you're going to be a father. You're going to have descendants as numerous as the sky. Trust me. And yet here in the very next chapter, both Abram and Sarah didn't trust God. And they enacted their own plan. And so by Hagar, Abram does become a father, the father of Ishmael. But the child of the promise of God, that child, Isaac, would come later because Abram and Sarah couldn't wait. Now, as you read chapter 16 today and see this whole message of learning to wait on God, I want to ask you, and I'll certainly do the same for me, can you ask yourself, where am I not waiting on God? And what are the consequences when I choose to put my plan ahead of God's plan? Would you do that today? Would you just be honest with yourself? And I'll do the same. God, where am I not waiting on you? And what are the consequences in my life of me not waiting on you? What blessings am I missing? What life lessons am I missing by not waiting? I know it's hard. It's difficult for all of us in our flesh, but God's ways are best. Read this story today, the story of Abram and Sarah and Hagar and Ishmael, and look at the issue of, am I waiting on God? Am I willing to do that? Have a great day today as you read chapter 16.